Goodbye endless trips to the pharmacy, and hello MedSync. All your meds ready for one monthly pickup with no hassle. Give James Drugstore a call to get started.
And welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show, a podcast brought to you by the Livingston Parish News. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news, and this is Group Therapy. It's a time when I get to sit down with these two gentlemen and we talk about what's going on in Livingston Parish. We're actually going to have a new format coming out in July where I'm going to sit down with each of them individually and talk about what's going on in their respective lanes because we've kind of decided that the jumping back and forth may not be the best way to kind of keep a conversation going. So we're going to give that a start starting in July, but of course we will continue to keep it under 22 minutes for you guys out there. So I'm going to let these two guys introduce themselves. We're going to start on the viewer's right.
Hey, this is David Gray, news writer with the Livingston Parish News.
And this is Rob DeArmond, sports editor with Livingston Parish News.
And we are going to start off today. Let's jump in with Rob because we kind of interesting. A lot of these schools have started Hall of Fame programs, and we've got the newest one to jump into the arena is Springfield, and they're taking nominations through July 1st. Correct?
Correct.
That's next Friday.
That is correct.
So tell us a little bit about how this came to be.
Just in talking to Ryan Surpass, the athletic director and football coach, it was one of those things that kind of came together. The former principal Spencer Harris and former assistant principal John Tuning and Coach Surpass kind of came together and started talking, just wanting to do something that would be add a little permanence to the school. You know, they've got some athletic programs and athletes and coaches and contributors, which that's going to be the four categories for the Hall of Fame, who, you know, they feel like they can give some permanence to it. And with those three guys putting it together, you know, if you go back and look, Ryan's really the only one who's still left out of that group. John Tuning is now principal at French Settlement, and Spencer Harris has moved to the central office now. So he said, as we're planning it, it's like we're not going to be here in these same spots that we're going to be in, so we need to do this now. But it's something that kind of came up. It's been a couple years in the making, and they're going to it's happening, you know, becoming a reality now. So what they're trying to do is they have a committee in place, and you can pick up nomination forms around Springfield. They have them at the high school, at Town Hall, and at Children's Grocery. You can pick them up there. Like you said, that the date is July 1st, and they're just looking for contributors. There's also, you know, they kind of want to bridge a gap between the past and the present with those athletic programs. You know, Coach Surpass said you go look into the trophy case there in the gym, and he said there's a football trophy from 1960s that, you know, nobody really talks about, but we kind of want to find out, okay, what is it? Who are those people? And we want to recognize those people and maybe get them into the Hall of Fame. So that's basically what it is. And you know, they'll join. Denham has theirs and Walker has theirs. So this will be the third school in the parish to do a Hall of Fame. The whole goal is to have a 10-person class to start off. That committee will look at the nominations. They'll pare them down, and then they'll select that class. The plan is to have that class introduced during the football game during the season, and then they will have an induction banquet probably after the Christmas break.
Okay, so that's the information on that. Honestly, for the most part, y'all are, well, both of you sort of are working these summer sports, and 7-on-7. This is going to be this is the penultimate week, right? It ends next week.
Next week, right.
But there are 3 teams at one location.
Next week.
Next week.
Today we're
going to Live Oak and Denham.
Gotcha.
We have not seen Denham yet, so this will be our first time getting a look at Denham and seeing what's going on. Of course, you know, part of the thing is that you know, Denham's right here next to the office, and normally when they've got it going at their place, either David or I'll hit it, and we can normally make another one. But we were talking is like with them not playing at their place, it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to get out and get to multiple spots. So
sure.
But like I said, this is going to be our first time to see Denham. We've seen Springfield twice. Had some young quarterbacks go last week against Live Oak. Got to see them get a little action, and that's kind of what it's about at this point, is trying to see what those guys are going to do and see how they can help the team.
Okay. So, was there anything else? from your side?
Geez, we had the Coaches Association, Baseball Coaches Association, All-State came out yesterday. I don't know if we want to talk about that. We can since we're here.
Yeah,
There we
why
go.
not? Why not?
It was on it.
So you've got a lot of familiar names on there in the pitching side of it. You had Blake Lobel and Jaden Teague from Springfield make it as pitchers, along with Caden Barcia from Doyle. And Peyton Woods from Doyle this is on the 2A team, was also a utility selection. And Brant McSwain from Holden was a choice as a utility player on the Class B team.
Wow. So congratulations to those athletes. So let's jump over to David, since he seems so lonely and dejected over here.
Sorry, man.
First and foremost, the big news from Monday was a 2-decade-long infrastructure project is finally underway, and that would be the Cook Road extension. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, it was, like you said, 20 years in the making. That was, everyone there was very, very thrilled to see this project finally get underway. Parish President Leighton Ricks me and him have talked about this multiple times over the last year. Whenever the bids were let in January, I remember I talked to him then because since this is my first full year in all aspects of news writing, I hadn't really done anything on this project, so he gave me a lot of the rundown for it. And yeah, it's been going on. He had a friend tell him that it takes anywhere from 10 to 12 years to build a new road, and now we're sitting at almost 20 since when it was first discussed. So it just shows you how long these projects take to really get going. But they broke ground on Monday. It's expected, and unfortunately, we all make mistakes, and I had a typo in the print edition that ran, even though it's fixed online. I said it's actually going to be completed before spring 2026. I had spring 2024, and that made it in print, so we have a correction in there. So I apologize for that, but yeah, we all make mistakes. So, but.
Yes, we do. It happens. And we'll run a correction next week, and if it's right online, it'll be fine.
Yes, it is fixed online with the editor's note as well. But yeah, so spring 2026, when they're saying it'll be completed before then. So who knows? It might be spring 2024. It might get lucky. But $21.7 million. That's what the whole project's going to cost. $16.5 million of that is for construction. The other $5-ish million is just for other fees and stuff, and also right-of-way acquisition costs. That was, I think, what they've been dealing with the last few months since the project left. Just making sure the property owners along that way were going to, agree to sell portions of their land. And essentially, what's going to happen is from Pete's Highway to the Jubin Crossing Shopping Center, there's going to be a 4-lane boulevard, 2 lanes in both directions. There's going to be 2 bridges going over Grays Creek, and it's going to just make a connection between Pete's Highway and Jubin Crossing. That's something that they were talking about, even before the Jubin Crossing became a reality. That's something they were talking about just to ease. I found some stories from 2004 and on our website talking about ways to ease traffic, and this was one of the ways then. So it's just crazy how long this has been talked about. And then whenever Jubin Crossing was becoming a reality, that was one of the things that developers also agreed to, or what they were telling the box store tenants that they would have one day, is this connection to make it easier for 18-wheelers to drop off supplies, make it easier for shoppers to get there, because right now, kind of limited in how you can get there, especially with the Jubin Road widening project going on near 190. That's really, slowing up a lot of things. But once all this is done, it's going to have pay big dividends once all this construction is done. Jubin widening, Jubin North extension that they're talking about as well. So there's a lot of infrastructure projects coming to the Jubin Road area right now.
Yeah, and the widening, as you just mentioned, the roundabout, maybe someday.
And there will be a roundabout at Pete's Highway and Cook Road. I forgot to mention that. There will be a roundabout at that intersection. Like I said, 4 lanes going or 2 lanes each direction to the Jubin Road development.
Sure. So next, and of course, if not for that, this probably would have been number one. There was a slew of ordinances passed with regard to developments.
We didn't talk about them last week because we didn't. That's right. Yeah. So I guess we could touch on some of those.
We can. One of the big ones that Parish President Leighton Ricks has expressed that he will sign off on is the lot size limit.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, this one, this was the one that was originally approved or passed, by the council in late April, and then vetoed by Parish President Leighton Ricks for two reasons. One, because the lot size, the original ordinance had 2 lots per acre in new development, and he argued that 2.5 should have been the compromise. And then there was also a typo that had to do with water runoff that should have been that he wanted to see corrected. So the ordinance that was just passed by the council in its last meeting was they did 2.5. There was nearly a dozen ordinances passed toward development, and that was the only one that there was any disagreement on. Every other one passed unanimously. This was a 6-3 vote. The 3 who voted against were John Wascom, J.L. McMorris, and Randy DeLatte, and all of them, I spoke with all of them after, and they said their only reasoning for, because this one particular ordinance had a bunch in it, more than just lot density. I mean, it had a FONSI that is now required, a finding of no significant impact, that developers will have to be able to show that they will create no significant impact to the surrounding areas pertaining to drainage and traffic. These preliminary plats, I always get that tied up. They'll have to they'll have to be accompanied by the impact studies, and they're still working on the language of the impact studies, what they need. But so this ordinance had a lot in it, more than just the lot density. But those councilmen, they said the only thing that they disagreed with was the lot density, and they've been kind of on that for weeks now. So it wasn't really a surprise that they voted that way. Shane Mack was also one of the ones who originally they tried to override the president's veto last month in May, and he was one of those who voted to override it, but then he voted in support of the 2.5 because like the parish president said, he kind of agreed that that was a fair compromise and it was better than what was allowed before, which is close to 4 lots per acre. So yeah, there was just that compromise, but like I said, everything else was pretty it was pretty harmonious the rest of the meeting in terms of all the stuff that they passed.
Tell us a little bit about some of these other ordinances that were passed.
Okay, let's look. Oh, and I did see that I checked our legals this week just to make sure the president did sign off on the 2.5. So he said that he was going to do that. So it's good to see that he did that. So one of those is wetlands. That was a big one. Now wetlands can't be included for the acreage for lot density. There's some of the, say you have a 100 acre piece of property that you want to develop on, and 20 of that is wetlands. You can't use those wetlands cannot be counted in the total acreage. So it would then be 80 acres that you're really building on. So that was one of the things that they wanted to see passed. They also had a lot of ordinances that will require a certain amount of street entrances, depending on the size of the development. I'm trying to see some other ones. Big one was the signs. It kind of changed the way that signs have to be posted because there's been some issues. I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago about the Valere subdivision and just outside of French Settlement, where the number on the sign for the developer was not working, and the month before that, the sign wasn't at the required height. So now they kind of changed up. They have to make sure they're adding in their language that says it has to be a working telephone number, and they also have to include an email address too. Just more ways to actually, because the point of those signs is to give the people a place to go to voice their concerns if they have any, and it does no good if nothing's working, you can't contact the person. So that's kind of the intent behind that. The fire protection review and impact studies for school traffic and drainage will be presented with all preliminary plats, except for minor subdivisions. And so that was one of the things that that a lot of them have been arguing for. How can they vote on a plat before they know the impact that it's going to have on the community? So that's one That's a big one. So yeah, a lot of these things, a lot of things that have not been that have been talked about for the last. I mean, we've been writing about these for the last several months, and it was good for them. Good to see them like be able to pass. I mean, like that meeting, a lot of people left. You don't know if everybody's as happy, or happy with how everything goes, but it seemed like there was a lot of good compromise from that last meeting. So yeah, that's just kind of a nutshell. We ran that last week. It was about a 1,200 word story, so it has more descriptions in there, but just trying to concise it within 90 seconds. I probably went to 2 or 3 minutes.
It's about 4.5 minutes.
Oh well,
He's counting.
that's okay.
So, yeah, I recommend if you're listening to this or watching this that you go check out that story that's on our website. I know that between that and some of the things the school board brought up, Mr. Gray, over the rest of the summer is going to be diving in on some of them more individually to try to flesh that out, especially the road impact portion of it. That's going to be very interesting. So stay tuned for that. To wrap it up here, of course, actually 2 things before we get to the last story, which is about Barbecue Station coming to Livingston, which is apparently a very popular deal. Mr. Garrett Graves was in town. He came to the Cook Road deal, and then he had a little soiree up off of Arnold Road, and you went to that. And he had plenty to say. Oh, but he did talk about disaster relief funds that came our way.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, let's wrap up the show with a piece of good news, which is Barbecue Station is coming to Livingston.
Yeah, apparently this is a really
Big fan.
sad to see. Yeah, okay, well, that's in Rob's neck of the woods.
Big fan. Got
they
one in
have
Hammond.
They have 2 in Tangipahoa, I think, and then 1 in St. Tammany. And yeah, this is a barbecue station. They're opening in the town of Livingston. They're going to take over Wayne's Barbecue, that location on what's that, Frost Road?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
correct.
Oh, yeah. I always get the roads confused. But
63 Frost
63,
Road.
yeah, that's what I know it as. But yeah, right there, off the interstate, they're going to be doing a major facelift to the building. I was told before they open. So I mean, it's probably not going to open until the fall. The owner told me, but yeah, they posted that on Facebook, and I just remember seeing, it getting hundreds of shares from like all the people in Livingston that I follow, and then I was like, oh, I guess I need to write something on this. Is a pretty big deal. I never, like I said, I don't go out to Tangipahoa that much, so I didn't know how popular it was. But Rob can, I guess, tell you.
It's right across the street from Southeastern, right close to the house. My wife and I are big fans. I think we ate last week over there. It's good
The
stuff.
brisket burger.
Brisket burger. I have not had it, but that is on my to-do list.
That's the one that
done.
they said, brisket burger and brisket salad. I think they had it.
Yes.
As well. What do you get?
The brisket. We usually get, there's a big sampler plate, and you get a little bit of everything.
Okay,
on it.
yeah.
So it's in, and we'll eat on that. It feeds both of us.
Okay.
And,
Well then, yeah. So you'll be able to get a sampler plate
stuff.
sometime in the fall, people. So
that's free advertisement right there, man.
There you go. You're welcome,
they
Barbecue
got it
Station.
this week too.
It's good stuff, man.
You can feel free to call me or my wife, Melanie, if you'd like to advertise. At any rate, so, all right, well, thank you both. We're going to let you introduce yourself real quick. We're going to start on the viewer's left.
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond, sports editor with the Livingston Parish News.
And on the right.
And this is David Gray, news writer with the Livingston Parish News.
And my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you all out there joining us for the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show. Again, this is Group Therapy, a time when I get to sit down with these two and we talk about what's going on in Livingston Parish. Please remember the news is on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays at $7 a month. Get that in your mailbox. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. One last time, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next time.